How's it going, Algebra 2? Good to see you guys. Kicking off week 7 here. You notice that I have moved down here to the bottom left of your screen instead of the bottom right. I was going to be using this part of the screen later, so I just wanted to move myself over here so you can see me over there in the corner. Um, all right, so this week we are sort of done with rational functions, which are those functions where we have an x in the denominator of a fraction. We've kind of moved on from that. So this is a new topic, but it's going to allow us to kind of backtrack and kind of review some of the other functions that we've learned this year. So this week, we were talking about inverses of functions. So I wanted to show you how I got to the notes that I'm going to be stealing from the internet today. If you just Google inverses of functions, it's a few down. The Khan Academy video is pretty good, but a couple of options down is this Math is Fun page. And I like some of the things on this page. Not everything's wonderful, but I do like some of the things. So let's kind of go through it together. So if we look here, it says, let us start with this example. We have a function f of x equals 2x plus 3. So this is like a plain old y equals mx plus b linear equation. Got a y-intercept of 3, a slope of 2. We could work all the way through that. And so what's really happening here is that we're starting with x, some number, right? X could be 7 or 11 or negative 12, right? And then in order to find what y is, in order to find our output value, we have to multiply that number by 2. And then once we've multiplied by 2, then we add 3 and we find this new number, right? Well, an inverse function goes the other way. An inverse function says, look, I'm going to start over here with y. And I want to know how to get back to x, right? I want to start with the output, and I want to see if I can backtrack my steps backwards and get back to the front, right? And so you kind of have to do the same steps that we did up here, but we're going to do them in the opposite order, and we're going to make them all the inverse, right? So instead of adding 3, we're going to subtract 3. So now we've got, starting at y, we get back to y minus 3. Okay, then after that, we need to divide by 2, all right? And so we end up at y minus 3 over 2. Okay, so I know that looks a little confusing, and that's fine. We're not going to have a whole lot that's going to look like that today. But that's basically what an inverse does, is it takes a function and goes the other way. All right, a little bit of notation here. I really like what they show you here. If we're talking about a function, right, so if I've got like a function as like f of x, okay, and I'll keep using this example that they're using. So f of x equals 2x minus 3, all right? If I can find the inverse of f of x, I will put f of negative 1 of x, and I'll find that inverse, right? So you'll notice that the little, negative 1 is sort of showing that it's an inverse function. So that's sort of, pardon me. That's sort of an important note to make. So as you're working out your problems, you might end up having some answers where you're showing f of negative 1 of x equals something. All right. So, all right. So let's sort of move forward. Let's talk about that just really quick again. Again, I really like this piece that they have here, right? Let's say that there was some process, right? Some, I don't know, scientific botanist process that I could do that would magically take an apple and turn it into a banana. Okay, so some kind of chemical, physical property thing that takes an apple, turns it into a banana. We could call that function, that thing that I can do, that process that we do to turn an apple into a banana, we could call that f. Okay. Now, if I wanted to take a banana and turn it back into an apple, I would have to do the inverse function. I would have to do the opposite process. Okay. So that's what we're doing here. Is we're going to be solving for, right? If we know what f is, if we know that process that's going to take an input and give us an output, can we figure out what that process would be that would undo that process? Man, oh man. You can tell that, I'm parenting and working all at the same time here. It's, yeah, anyway. Okay, so let's kind of skip down here a little bit. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, so let's talk about how to solve for the inverse of a function. All right, so solving for the inverse of a function is really, really easy. These are our notes right here. Put y for f of x and then solve for x. Okay, so again, put y for f of x and then solve for x. So if we look at that a little more closely, so what we're going to have is f of x is 2x plus 3. Okay, now I'm going to change the f of x to a y. All right, so now I've got y equals 2x plus 3. Okay, so now I'm going to solve for the x. All right, I'm going to get the x by itself. All right, and when I get the x by itself, I'll have found the inverse of that function, right? So to get the x by itself, first I need to subtract 3, just like they did up there. And so you can see that we end up with y minus 3 equals 2x, and then we divide by 2. And we end up with y minus 3 over 2 equals x, right? Then you can do the little swapping sides like they did, and so you end up with x equals y minus 3 over 2, all right? So that is our inverse function, right? Now, if you want to make that into like a normal looking function, right? Because usually y is not the input, right? Usually y is the output, but that's really what we're doing when we do an inverse. We're switching the input and the output, right? So we can now go back in and put in the f of -1 to show that this answer right here is an inverse. And then since this is a function of y, we can say f of -1 of y is like this. All right. Now, I'm going to add one more step to what they did, right? To make this look even more normal and so that we can actually compare these on a graph, I'm going to have you guys also, to finish, change the y's back to x's so that it looks like this, okay? All right, I'm going to pull up Desmos here, so give me 1 second. I want to pull up Desmos so that we can look at the graphs of these two things, and I want you to be able to kind of identify what's happening on the graph. Okay, so a little magic there. We're on Desmos now. So here's our original function showing up here in the red line there. Y equals 2x plus 3. You can see our y-intercept there of 0, 3. And you can see that we've got this sort of up 2 over 1 thing happening. There's our slope, okay? Now the inverse function, the one that we found here, is x minus 3 divided by 2. So let's take a look at that, right? So what you'll notice is that now I have an x-intercept of 3. Right, so we had a y-intercept of 3, and now we have an x-intercept of 3. Now, the same thing happened with the x-intercept from the original, which is -1.5. Now the y-intercept of my inverse function, right? And so what you'll notice is that the x's and y's have kind of switched, okay? Now they do intersect. I want you to notice they intersect at a point where y and x were the same. All right, and I want to show you this line because there's actually some symmetry happening here. And this is part of our definition of an inverse function. If two functions are the inverse of one another, then they are going to be symmetrical or reflected across the line y equals x. All right, so you can kind of see how that's happening there. We've got that symmetry happening, or that reflection across the line y equals x. All right, so that's what's sort of happening on the graph. So the inverse of a function, again, like the function of it, is all about, can I sort of undo a process? And so I thought that there was a decent example of why this is important, like some real life situation, right? You know, switching from Fahrenheit to Celsius. Maybe you're really good at taking a Celsius temperature, turning it into Fahrenheit, but now you've got a Fahrenheit temperature, you need to turn it into Celsius, and so this you know, idea of being able to do the inverse of a function or do a function backwards can really help you. All right, so big idea though that we need to learn, and we're going to do one more example here, but the big idea, if you're going to have one thing in your notes, is we need to switch x and y. All right, that's our big goal. We're taking the input and we're turning that into the output. And our old outputs are going to become our inputs, right? because we're going backwards. Okay, so give me 1 second. I'm going to set up my screen to do a quick example, and then you guys will be off and running. Okay, so kind of set up here to do a few examples. So our big goal, switch y and x, solve for y, and then we'll be able to have our inverse, right? Now this may be a little bit different than how they did it on the notes. You know, what they did is they basically put in a y here and then solved for y. I actually think it's easier to think about it this way. Let's make this an x, and let's change the x to a y, and then let's solve for the y variable, right? It's doing the same thing, right? But I think that that's a good idea, right? Take the y, change it to an x, take the x, change it to a y. Now let's solve for y, okay? So so it looks like our first thing that we're going to have to do is we're going to want to add 1 to both sides of the equation. All right, so now I've got x plus 1. All right, so x plus 1 equals negative 1 over 5 y. Okay. All right, so then if I was solving this like a normal equation, I would then want to get rid of this negative 1 over 5, I would want to multiply by negative 5, all right? So I'm going to multiply both sides by a negative 5, all right? So just solving like I would a normal equation. And so what I end up with is that negative 5 times x plus 1, which I can do the distributive property there, which I'll do here in a second, equals y. Okay, so let's go ahead and distribute, so that'll be negative 5x minus 5 equals y. And then let me just switch the sides here so that it looks a little better. And so this function is the inverse of that original function. All right, so I had the function f of x equals negative 1 minus 1/5 x, and when I did the inverse there, I ended up with y equals negative 5x minus 5. Okay, if you want to double check this, you can check that on Desmos, so let me do that really quick, so give me 1 second. Okay, so let's take a look here. So here's my original function, all right, and then this next one will be the inverse of that function. All right, and so if you wanted to really double check and see, a big thing is when you click the intersection point, x and y should be the same, right? If you think about that, right, that's going to be the one place that's going to stay the same when you switch x and y is when x and y were the same number. Okay, so that's a good check to do. And then also you can turn on the line y equals x, and you should be able to see that symmetry happening, that reflection. Okay, all right, let's do the next problem. So the next problem is a rational function, right? So we'll see this when we graph this example. But this is a rational function, but I'm going to work it the same way. So I'm going to switch x and y, and then I'm going to solve for x. Okay, so how would I solve for x? How would I get, how would I get y by itself here? Well, the first thing that I need to do is sort of flip both sides upside down, right? So I'm going to sort of take the inverse of both sides. All right, so taking those to the negative 1 power, so now I've got 1 over x, and here this one's going to flip up, so now I just have y minus 1, all right, and then I can, my next step that I need to do to get y by itself is just to add 1 to both sides. And so my new function is, so I've got 1 over x plus 1 equals y. Let me flip that around so that it looks a little nicer. All right, so just switching the sides of the equation. And so the inverse of this g of x function is 1 over x plus 1. All right, give me 2 seconds. Going to graph that really quick, so give me a moment. Okay, so through a little pausing there, I was able to get this next function in. And so we see that it's got, we have our original rational function. So this is what we're used to seeing, right? When we have an x in the denominator, we're going to end up with some discontinuity. We've got a vertical asymptote. We've got a horizontal asymptote. So let's look at this other function, and what we'll see is that sure enough, it's the inverse of that red function. So let's look at some of the key attributes here. I've got a couple of intersection points, and again, those intersection points are where x and y were equal to each other, all right? The other thing I can do is I can sort of make sure that I've got that symmetry happening across the line y equals x. And so you can see that nice looking symmetry. Let's say that you had made a mistake, and so you had accidentally put minus 1 instead of plus 1. Look at how this definitely does not look like it's symmetrical anymore, right? the left side and the right side sort of that green line. Not looking super good. Okay, gonna do the last example in office hours. See y'all there. Office hours.